Welcome to Part 4 of the Unofficial Guide to the European Board of Paediatrics examination.
Hello and welcome back. In the previous video, we've explored how to build an effective study plan and timeline. Today we'll focus on something equally important, choosing the right study materials. You'll find an abundance of resources at your disposal, including study books, question banks, online platforms, and video courses, just to name a few. While having so many options is fantastic, it can feel pretty overwhelming. The reality is that selecting the right resources is one of the most critical decisions you'll make during your entire preparation. Before we jump into specific recommendations, which we'll cover in detail in Part 6 of this series, I'd like to share a few key concepts that should guide your decision-making process. Spending time on these concepts may seem unnecessary at first, but choosing the wrong materials can cost you months of valuable study time, lead to frustration and burnout, and significantly reduce the efficiency of your preparation. On the other hand, choosing the right resources will make your studying far more focused, efficient, and productive. Studying inefficiently is like swimming with poor technique. You're working incredibly hard, but barely moving forward. It's exhausting, frustrating, and ultimately counterproductive. Consider this example. If you rely on a comprehensive pediatric textbook as your primary study resource, you may invest hundreds of hours of reading without retaining nearly as much as you'd hope. Worse yet, passive reading doesn't build clinical reasoning the way practice questions do. So even if you feel like you've covered a topic thoroughly, you might still get flustered when faced with a question on exam day. In medical school, you may have developed a completionist mindset. Read the main text cover to cover, then repeat. But for the European Board of Paediatrics exam, and more importantly, for becoming a competent pediatrician, no single resource will provide a complete foundation of knowledge. Instead, you need to draw from multiple resources to build a solid groundwork from which you can continue to develop. Every resource demands your time, and time is your most precious commodity during exam preparation. You can buy as many books, subscriptions, and courses as you like, but you can't buy additional hours in the day. This brings us to the core concept of this section, return on investment. When evaluating a resource, ask yourself, how much time will this require, and how much knowledge will I actually retain and recall later? Different study materials offer vastly different returns on your time investment. Generally speaking, question banks provide the highest return and are considered high-yield resources. They enhance retention, reinforce key concepts, and directly translate to improved exam performance. In contrast, exhaustive textbooks and highly specialized materials often require substantial time investment while offering comparatively smaller gains. This doesn't mean you should exclusively use high-yield resources. A diverse study approach can be beneficial. It just depends on how much time you have. The key is matching your resources to your timeline. The earlier you begin preparation, the greater flexibility you have. If you start early in your training, you can explore a wider range of materials and even incorporate lower-yield resources for comprehensive learning. However, if your preparation window is short, you need to be far more selective. With limited time, your focus should shift towards the highest-yield activities, primarily practice questions and careful review of explanations. The less time you have available, the more heavily you should rely on active recall and exam-focused learning strategies. The breadth of the curriculum can be intimidating, but don't let that discourage you. You cannot learn everything, and you don't need to. Instead, focus on material that will make you a more competent pediatrician. If it helps you on the ward, it'll almost certainly help you on the exam. I'll discuss test-taking strategies in much more detail in Part 8 of the series, but there's one concept worth introducing now. In medicine, common conditions are often referred to as horses, while rare diseases are known as zebras. This comes from the famous aphorism, when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. This same principle applies to your exam preparation. The vast majority of questions are built around common conditions and core pediatric concepts. While some questions may appear unusual or intimidating at first glance, the exam more often tests fundamental knowledge rather than obscure facts or details. As a result, your time is far better spent mastering common conditions than chasing rare diseases that are unlikely to appear on the exam. So avoid diving too deeply into low-yield areas especially later in your preparation. Prioritize topics by clinical importance. For example, neonatology represents high-yield content, rare metabolic disorders do not. Establish clear boundaries to prevent yourself from disappearing down academic rabbit holes. Master the fundamentals first, then progressively build upon them. Finally, stay adaptable. If a resource isn't working for you, don't be afraid to abandon it. Don't fall victim to the sunk cost fallacy. Continuing to use ineffective materials simply because you've already invested time or money in them is counterproductive. Conversely, if you're handling your current workload comfortably, you can thoughtfully add supplementary resources. However, guard against overcommitment. Unrealistic goals can lead to frustration and burnout. And remember that your clinical responsibilities will continue throughout your preparation. Case reviews, ward duties, and professional development activities will compete for your study time. Don't view this as a distraction. Your ongoing clinical work reinforces your medical knowledge and contributes meaningfully to your overall preparation. To sum it up, manage your time like the precious commodity that it is. Prioritize common conditions, and don't be afraid to drop any resource that isn't working for you. Choose study materials that help you learn efficiently, retain what matters, and make meaningful, steady progress. In the next video, we move on to the single most powerful tool in your preparation, practice questions. We'll discuss how they build knowledge through active recall, identify weak areas, improve exam technique, and accelerate your progress throughout the preparation process. I'll also share my top recommendations and discuss how study groups can help or sometimes hinder your success.
Thank you for watching Part 4 of this series. If you found this helpful, be sure to check out Part 5, where we explore exam preparation with practice questions.